All right, Twisha Krisha back with another quick video, and this is what I've been saying as far as what could happen with the dollar, with the global reset, and how the United States is going to respond. All right, and I've told you before in my last video, I'm not sure if it's all going to go at once as far as the dollar being included when this whole global reset occurs. Honestly, I don't think anybody knows exactly how this is going to happen, which countries are involved, and how it's going to affect the U.S. dollar. So there's all these different articles about J.P. Morgan and what they said about the U.S. dollar and the global dominance coming to an end. It says J.P. Morgan says dump U.S. dollar as its century of global dominance coming to an end. This came out today. The U.S. dollar will struggle to remain the top international currency in the coming decades as the rising power of Asian economies is set to undermine its leading position, Wall Street banker J.P. Morgan Chase has predicted. However, we believe the dollar could lose its status in the world's dominant currency due to structural reasons as well as cynical impediments. Many other currencies came to their demise throughout history thanks to the shift in global economic centers, which is now poised to move towards Asia. The strategist points out, while China's accession to global superpower status is believed to be one of the factors of the shift, it's not the only one. The Asian economy zone as a whole, from the Arabian Peninsula, Turkey in the west, to Japan and New Zealand in the east, and from Russia in North and South Australia in the south, accounts for 2/3 of economic growth and 50% of the global GDP. The growing purchasing power of the region will boost the number of non-dollar transactions, eroding the greenback's reserve currency status and setting the grounds for its replacement as a dominant international currency, according to the bank. In other words, in the coming decades, we think the world economy will transition from the U.S. and the U.S. dollar dominance toward a system where Asia wields greater power. As looming shift is ready to be felt by some, the demand for precious yellow metal was at its highest in almost a half a century in 2018. Russia and China are leading the gold rush, having added 16 or 7 tons respectively to their central bank holdings in May. Both Moscow and Beijing boosted their bullion reserves by more than 70 tons in the first 5 months of this year. All right, and then there's just another article basically explaining the same thing. This is reserve currency status does not live forever, and you can see over the years that has changed. And I just wanted to read from this particular article, the very bottom. Additionally, central banks around the world, including China and Russia, hit a gold ownership in a high of April, with gold purchases spiking by 75% in the last year alone to hedge against a volatile dollar. As long as the dollar is backed by nothing but the Federal Reserve system of credit, countries around the world will continue to hedge against the dollar, while the 21 trillion U.S. national debt keeps ticking up. Okay, so again, it's all going back to gold ownership. Now, and I've showed you guys that the United States has more gold than anybody else. And I've showed you that. And I've also showed you that Trump is doing everything he can to stem the tide of what's going to happen. Right? All these different countries, they're trying to go gold. They're trying to undermine the United States economy because we are currently on a credit system, and they're trying to get away from that. We have a $21 trillion debt. Our system of credit against this other will not work. So we really have to look at, how is this all going to take place? Are they going to just simply go to a gold-backed standard? Are they going to reprint money? And I think that's the other question is are these countries going to reprint their money with a gold-backed standard? So these are just things and indicators to look at and what's going to happen over the next few months. We're looking at the U.S. trade-China deal, and we're going to be looking at these countries as far as what they're doing with their gold and their currency. Of course, oil is already a big part of their economy. We know that already. But I think there's a lot of questions concerning whether or not if there's going to be a major fall of the dollar and how the United States will respond to that. When all these other countries, including Iraq, when they go to a $3 rate, in my opinion, depending on however they do it, whether they go 1-to-1 or 3-to-1. But I think that's going to be very important in watching and keeping watch. Because a lot of people, when they do go to a gold backed standard, if the United States has not gone to a gold backed standard by the time that the Iraq dinar hits, it's going to hurt the United States economy. It's going to hurt the US dollar. But then we can also counter that by saying, hey, our dollar will now be backed by gold. And what that would do to the dollar, that would raise up the dollar and also shrink the exchange rate between other countries. That's another reason why when this whole thing takes place, and if you are ready to exchange, whether it's at 1-to-1 or 3-to-1, that's one reason why I think it's going to be very limited period of time that you're going to be able to exchange. Now, of course, the dollar is going to be worth less against other currencies, and it may affect us for a short period of time, but once the dollar goes to a gold-backed standard, it should raise the exchange rate of the dollar versus, whatever other currencies. So, which means that, say, for instance, if the Iraq dinar went to a gold standard, they're 3-to-1, right? The US dollar is hurt. Then we go to a gold-backed standard. Well, what's going to happen to the Iraq dinar? What's going to happen with all these other currencies? Now, folks, this is just my opinion, and I'm going to answer some questions that people have had. What other currencies can you invest in? Now, I can't tell you to buy any currencies, but I will just say this. I still believe the IQD is still the best investment. That's my opinion. And if I was going to put any more money into currency, that's what I would do. When this whole global reset takes place, I believe that's where you're going to get your most bang for your buck. So if you are, you just have to make sure, whatever you do, you always want to make sure you're buying from a reputable place and making sure and checking your dinars to make sure that they are not counterfeit and that they are real. All right. So how is the U.S. going to counter this when the global reset takes place? Will all the currencies, including the United States, be gold back? Or will the United States lag behind as part of the plan to raise their value after the global reset? Which means the US dollar would become global dominant. It would be global dominant again. It's possible that for a short period of time it won't be the global currency. But who is going to be, when I read this article, I say, okay, well, China could be the global dominant currency. I don't really know because, the way that their government is run and the way that they run their economy, I don't think so. Russia, the same way. I think politically and economically, they're too unstable. But that's just my opinion. So all this remains to be seen. So guys, let me know what you think. Leave a comment below. And I hope you guys enjoyed these videos. If you do, please go to my Patreon, support the Patreon. And also you can make one-time donations to the PayPal so that I can go ahead and continue making these videos. Because I think these videos are very important that we keep track of how all this is going to play out so that you can be ready for your exchange. Because like I said, there could only be a short window of time depending on how the global reset takes shape and whether or not how the United States responds in all of this. So it could happen at the same time. We still get U.S. and all these countries go to gold back standard. It could still be a 3-to-1, or will all these other countries go to gold back standard, hurt the U.S. dollar, and then the United States counters with their own gold back currency, and then those exchange rates shrink to where you're not getting exactly the 3-to-1. You might just have a 1-to-1 or a 150-to-1, right? That's why I say I believe there's only going to be a short window. I've said that in other videos, that it just depends on how all this plays out. So hopefully, I will continue to bring the news as it comes. I thank you guys for listening. Don't forget about the support links down below in the description. Tuition Christian out.